Welcome to Green Share channel, and today we have a special episode which is related to the last earnings report from Tesla, because eventually we won't fit this entire information from this episode into the weekly digest, because it will take more than half an hour. So I'll try to have this separate one for entirely Tesla earnings report and earnings call and then we'll just have link for this particular episode in our weekly digest as well. So let's dive into this report that the slide deck shared in before the meeting and before the call, and we'll try to go to the main points like to highlight, and eventually we'll try to go and find some more information from the other resources, but again, let's start from this particular one. So that was a great year for Tesla, I'd say, but a lot of things we'd like to mention over here, because as per this report, the full year 2020, Tesla achieved the industry leading 6.3% operating margin, despite the fact that the stock-based compensation were up to 1.7 billion. So that's something we already know, that Elon Musk, they have a compensation plan based on what the company achieved in terms of financials and other milestones in production as well. So despite the fact they have quite a big amount of stock-based compensation, the industry leading operation margin, as well as they also mentioned that the Berlin and Austin factories are on track. And just to remind about the Berlin, we have the planned first substantial completion in May 2021. And for Berlin, we will later on will see the state of the factory, which I'd say they probably should start producing cars in the end of Q1 or maybe beginning of Q2, but we'll get back to it later on. Also, we saw the new or updated Model S, Model X, and new Model X Plaid, which we haven't knew about this model before. And now we'll probably go further on. So yeah, we could see that the operating cash flow, they have like 2.8 billion in 2020. Also, they increase the cash equivalents in Q4 to almost 20 billion, with a free cash flow of almost 2 billion in Q4. And yeah, we already mentioned the 500,000 vehicles produced and delivered in 2020. Actually, they produced almost 510,000 and delivered almost just missing about 300 for 500,000. But yeah, that's the great achievement. And they actually started producing updated Model S and Model X in January 2021. Tesla beat expectation even for Wall Street related to the total revenue. So they have 10 billion in total revenue. They also have 46% growth in automotive revenue and total revenue. So we see those data about 46%. But eventually they've missed the expectation from Wall Street about the EPS. So Wall Street expected $1.05. They did have 80 cents, but again, it is 95% growth year over year. And the amount of cash and cash equivalents Tesla right now accumulated, which is almost 20 billion, is quite a significant amount that will allow them to grow further on and faster. So yeah, that's the summary for the years. I will probably could only mention that the automotive revenue growth is 31%, as well as automotive growth margin is 25.6%. Everything else or mentioned before. will probably switch to energy, but later on. So yeah, in those financial summary, we could see this 46 revenue grow year over year in Q4. We also have the operation margin despite the awards. Um, Also, we need to mention that the average selling price for the vehicles declined by 11%, and we also saw this later on, the decline of the price even for the Model Y in the new year. We'll talk about this a bit later, so let's proceed on further. Yeah, stock-based compensation is something that hit hard on these earnings, but again, that's something we expected to see, so not a big deal for now. But anyway, the further Tesla will grow, the further we will see some stock-based compensation plans and targets reaching. So yeah, that's kind of the way the Tesla is working with Musk and other executives in the company. About the operational summary for us, maybe the main part would be the storage deployed. So it's 200% growth year over year for deployed storage capacity in megawatts, and that's the huge growth based on what is kind of part of the business for Tesla. And we have also growth of supercharger station and supercharger connectors. So we're getting more and more infrastructure and more uh, invested in those infrastructure. So that's great for consumers and for Tesla as well as a business. And now probably the most important part, which is the capacity for the existing factories. So we see that Shanghai do have 450, which is seem to be the existing. Well, at the end of 2020, they have a run rate of 215,000 per year, and they're increasing and they're speeding up in the extension and um, build up the factory and capacity for the Shanghai factory. And just Shanghai and Fremont alone have a capacity of over 1 million cars to produce. But again, we probably haven't paid attention at the first slide. So something we didn't expect could happen, but for now, that's quite important. Deliver our first Tesla Semi by the end of the year. And during the call, Elon Musk mentioned that they are ready to produce semis, but yet they cannot, they are battery constrained, and they are doing all they could to release the battery constraint situation, and will now just switch shortly for something about the battery. We already know that the battery presented on the battery day 4680 supposed to be 56% more cheaper to produce, and supposed to be much better in terms of capacity and density. But also, we knew that the Roadrunner project in Fremont is supposed to have the capacity of 10 gigawatts, which will be used for Model Y in Berlin. And then we also saw the latest video on which Tesla shared the process of battery production of the 4680 battery pack. And all of this bring us to the really important thing, that even they have a production of over 1 million cars, they haven't yet mentioned that they are gonna produce this 1 million, because in that graph we haven't got the Berlin and Texas yet. So if their battery constraint situation will be solved, And Elon Musk again emphasized on the fact that they will buy all the available batteries from CATL, from Panasonic and LG, and they will try to have as much batteries available as they could, so they could fulfill the production capacity they have. And also, as we mentioned, two factories, Berlin and Texas, are quite close to producing vehicles in the mid 2021, but they definitely will produce them in 2021. And according to the stats, the global market share of Tesla vehicles, not electric vehicles, but vehicles in general by region, going up to 1.5% in US, Canada, and about 1% in China and Europe. That means that the further we're going, the more market share Tesla gain. And also, that is not about even going to the full self-drive. And we already mentioned that according to the study, the full self-drive could help avoiding 90% of the crash accidents. And also we have a report from Tesla that for Tesla on Autopilot, it need to be 3.45 million miles to accident for a year, comparison to the 500,000 miles on average. And that's even without using the FSD, which is seemed to be growing faster and even more reliable than it was expected. So, well, expecting the high amount of rollout for the FSD, because now it's kind of really limited amount of users who could have access to the FSD right now. But again, Elon Musk was quite bullish on the fact that till the end of 2021 we will have level 4 or even level 5 autonomy on the vehicles. We probably won't get them legislated or under the road legislation in all the world, but again, a lot of things are changing in the United States for those autonomous vehicles to be eligible. And then we will further go with the something that is unbelievable for what we have known about Tesla. So Tesla Model S Plaid with a price tag of less than 140,000 US dollars will be the fastest production car ever made, with 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds and quarter mile less than 9.3 seconds. And like most of the cars in this spreadsheet are over €500,000, like Bugatti Veyron, Bugatti Chiron, and like even those Lambos are quite expensive cars, which are not even close to the performance of the Tesla Model S Plaid. That's something that could actually give us an understanding on how far, in terms of the existing achievements or existing performance, Tesla is comparing to the manufacturers of ICE cars. And again, that the EPA estimated range gap, which is seen to be now continue to grow in comparison to the other EV producers. And that's not all the thing that we'd like to mention on this report, because as I've mentioned before, the energy storage deployments is quite high. Comparison to previous years, the energy business of Tesla seemed to be starting to show up the changes, and the gain of 83% increase compared to the prior year is quite a significant. So Tesla energy business starting to ramp up. And now what seemed to be disappoint the Wall Street is Tesla, according to the fact that they do have quite a lot of different projects in the pipeline, a lot of things going around, the new factories, new models, new production lines, new form factor for batteries, and all the things around the global issues like uncertainty for the COVID and all the things. I think that is quite good approach to go with the goal of over a multi-year horizon. We expect to achieve 50% average annual growth in vehicle deliveries. And which is more important, and it was emphasized during the call as well, in some years we may grow faster, which we expect to be the case in 2021. So eventually we will see at least more than 750,000 cars produced and delivered in 2021. But as it was mentioned, this year should show much faster growth. And we talked about the production capacity already. So probably we will see something around 900 or maybe around 1 million. But again, the multi-year horizon goal is much more important for Tesla and the growth of the company, because then we will see the year-over-year growth in the goal of reaching 20 million cars in 2030. So that's quite significant. And because Tesla didn't provide the exact number for tracking for this year, that was kind of disappointment news for the market or for the Wall Street. But again, for Tesla, that's quite significant achievement to speed up in such a way that they could have 50% annual growth or even more. That will be really good. And again, we haven't yet got the Giga Berlin and Giga Texas ready, but let's see. Okay, we'll skip the Model S interior for now. We'll get back to it. Just kind of showing up the Model Y diecast machines in place and Model Y stamping, just to understand the kind of size of all of this. But from my point of view, it is much more important to see the amount of work already done for the Berlin. So that the Giga Berlin factory, which seemed to be almost completed or kind of on the final stage. You could see the interior of this factory, which is kinda almost ready, and we're still in January. And that's again interior. You could see the boxes with the equipment already inside the factory. And then just imagine what could be done in 3 months from the breaking ground to having half of the factory kind of 30% done or so. That's kind of really unbelievable pace, and working 24/7 with the Texas factory, that's something unbelievable. And we could see them finishing this factory probably in Q2 and maybe starting production in Q3. But those two factories are quite important for Tesla, and because a lot of things could happen in between now and then when those factories start to produce the cars, this uncertainty brings the way the Tesla um, work with the estimated production goals. And now we will switch back to the new interior for Model S and probably Model X as well. So yeah, you could see the huge monitor. You could see improved materials, and now it seemed to be kind of comparing to the luxury sedan, and you have more monitors for entertainment on the back seats. And yeah, that seemed to be the next step for Tesla in more having more general setup and having the similarity between the model's interior to have better production capacity and better switch possibility. And again, that's just the update of Model S and Model X, which is a small part of what Tesla already presented during this call. Also, I'd like to mention, yeah, that's something that the key metrics that will be beneficial to see the growth of Tesla in terms of vehicle deliveries, in terms of cash flow, and in terms of net income, with becoming profitable for the last 6 months and being profitable for entire year, which is 2020, when a lot of OEMs dropped with the deliveries and income. And again, that the trailing 12 months metrics, and you could see how these changed during those time, and we could see what is going further on. So we spot how it should be and where Tesla is moving on. And again, I also would like to emphasize on the fact that according to the insider information, capacity for the Shanghai could hit even 5,500,000 in 2021. We also mentioned that the Model Y prices were dropped in the beginning of the year, and that makes the amount of backlog over 100,000 Model Ys made in China already in the backlog in China. And also would like to mention that a lot of companies recently updating the share price target for Tesla, and we've already spoke about Morgan Stanley, about Bank of America, Credit Suisse. Now we have recently Oppenheimer with a Wall Street high of $1,036. We have Deutsche Bank with $890, and the recent JD Power review where Tesla grabbed all the top places with the Model 3, Model Y, and Model S. We have a separate episode with this particular news in more detail. But again, those numbers and the way that Tesla achieved and acknowledged the way they work, that's something that we need to understand and just have a bit more patience on, especially those two factories. As soon as they start producing vehicles, we'll see how Tesla will grow. And again, that's only my expectation, but from my point of view, we're looking at something around 1400s price for Tesla at the end of the year or even earlier, because the pace with which Tesla grew up, and not only the automotive, the energy business as well, is unbelievable. So we'll hope we hope we'll see more information about S and X, especially X Model X Plaid. Um, Also, during the call was mentioned that Autopilot could be sold as a service for other OEMs. It is a possibility, but in addition to Autopilot, the Autobidder software were mentioned as well. So as soon as this part of software will be also a huge part of the income for Tesla, we could see much more growth in terms of revenue, in terms of profits, and yeah, that's something we're expect to see further on. And that's probably all I would like to cover in this episode. I hope this one will be short, but yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and see you all. Thank you.